What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Optimized TV, where we talk about the top insights, tactics, and hacks on high performance output. I'm your host, Akash Aesthetics, Optimized CEO, and we have a very special guest today, Brenden Meyers. For those of you who don't know, Brenden is the owner and creator of Create You Agency. It's a supplement company. Brenden, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And not only do we do supplements, but we also, we partner with brands. We do a lot of agency work. We're trying
a bunch of good stuff.
Yeah, man. We're trying to innovate. We're trying to bring high quality products at a low price, and we're doing good so far.
I know. I love it. Definitely a high performance individual right here. So Brenden, I am so excited to have you on episode 1. I'm super stoked. So for those of you who don't know, Brenden has been a friend of mine for like three years now, right?
Yeah, maybe even longer, man. Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, we met at MIT. Oh, good times. We met at MITT and whatnot. And initially, we were talking. I remember we were grabbing some food, waiting for. It was like a seminar. We were grabbing some food, waiting to drink, and we were like in a little social circle. And I remember we were talking about like something about business or employees, and he said something. Someone else in the group said it. I said it. And then I don't know. I remember we just looked at each other. We're like, "Yeah, I feel you on that. I feel you on that."
Yeah,
and then we were just like,
"We get each other.
Yeah, we get each other. Awesome. So Brenden, I consider you a very high performance individual. Many people do as well. First question: how do you define high performance? What does that mean to you?
How do you get from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible? And it's not about the high quality, like it's not about all the hard work. Yeah, you need that to perform at a high level. I believe you have to have an understanding of it, but it's more so about the quality of your work and understanding psychology. I think high performance is directly correlated with psychology.
So elaborate on that psychology aspect. Are you talking about your personal psychology, your own self-awareness about that, or other people, or talk a little more about that?
I think you just nailed it on that question. We think that we need to be focusing on other people so much, when in reality, the money, the growth, and everything else that you really are looking for in life is in yourself. And, some people call it enlightenment or spirituality or whatever, but the truth of the matter is, the better you know yourself, the better you're going to know other people, because tendencies, and it's simple psychology, right? It's literally simple psychology. Emotion, how do people react? It's all based off of experience. It's based off of really understanding the human race, honestly.
Right. So understanding, this psychology in general will help that apply it to yourself, have a better self-awareness, and also understand where other people are at, so you can increase that interaction. Can you shed some, give an example? Can you give an example of how that's played out in your life?
Yeah, sure. So let's say you get out of your bed, right? And you have clothes on the ground. And always when you go to sleep, you have the same clothes on the ground, you get up, and you generally only clean up that stuff once every 2 weeks. You go and do your laundry, right?
Yeah.
I'm at fault for that sometimes, right? And so let's say you take off clothes. How does that even happen? You take off clothes, you throw the clothes on the ground, and psychologically speaking, you're like, oh, this is easier for me. This is way easier for me. Let me just drop this down, right? And then it just so happens those clothes, and similarly with business or relationships, they start to rack, and it's more and more and more, and it becomes a burden. It becomes an annoyance. And if you always have these annoyances in your life and you're bothered by it consistently, what happens? You get frustrated, and finally you get all upset, and this is where people explode. They start yelling at you. They start saying all these things. So in this instance, if you don't have that clothing on the ground, your businesses are most likely going to be more organized, and you're going to pick up the slack in other areas, and you're going to, be a little bit more disciplined, maybe with your cooking for your own nutritional stuff, or maybe you're going to follow your own workouts the way that you want to follow consistently, right? And it's about consistency. So it all builds upon.
How you do anything is how you do everything, right?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Okay, amazing. So now I want to get into the real meat of this interview, which is what you do personally in your life, in your world, to keep your performance at a high level. This is what I'm most interested in. So the way I kind of want to break this down, I want you to just off the top of your head to shoot off all the, you know, ideas, behavioral patterns, thoughts, mentality, mindset, whatever that comes to mind that you know supports your high performance. And then after that, we're gonna go back and expand on them. If something else comes to mind in the middle, we'll just add that on at the end.
Cool. So me, as what I do and why
Yeah, what keeps your performance at such a high level?
Why I would consider myself a high performer and why I perform at such a high level. I have a passion for things that most people can't understand. And the reason why they can't understand it is because maybe they haven't, one, dug deep enough into their own understanding. Two, they haven't seen what is possible, and societal means have created this this perception that certain things aren't possible. My approach is pretty simple. It's if someone ran I don't know, a 4-minute mile and nobody ever thought that they could run a 4-minute mile, but somebody did it, then how do you know someone can't run a 3:30 mile, right? Like obviously you can't run a 0-second mile and you can't run a 60-second mile, but there are limits, of course, but these ceilings are much, much higher than we think. And so I've really come to terms with that, and I've developed different brands over an 8-year span. When I first started my businesses, I made deals with people in India. I made deals with people in Egypt, and I pretty much took over the Facebook page industry and I wouldn't say the entire industry, but the Facebook page fitness industry pages that were owned by here in America back 7.5 years ago. And because I understood the psychology of just relationship, it developed this high performing mentality, right? And I've always been working hard. So working hard is, you know, that's the first. I tell people, hey, you want to try and work smart and then work hard? Shit's not going to work well for you long term. What you really should do is learn how to work hard, then pump the brakes, learn how to be smart with that hard work, and then you can bust through anything.
I agree with that. I agree with that completely. Now, to tie that back around to passion, like what I'm hearing is that you're very passionate about, you developed this passion for, it sounded like just straight entrepreneurship, like just starting businesses, brands, and just not taking no for an answer and making deals abroad. Like a lot of people don't do that right off the gate, like going making deals in Egypt and India and stuff. So to tie that back into your passion, right? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounded like you're saying that you're just so turned on by the fact of just being a business owner and just making it happen, that's primarily what drives your high performance. That the fact that that's doable. You can do that.
Owning businesses, it's like, it's whatever to me. It's cool.
Okay.
Like, you know, making money, cool. You know, I make some money. At the end of the day, I want to impact the lives of 1 billion people. And so in order for me to get to 1 billion people, I have to bust through every impossible feat that comes my way. In reality, to impact, you have to do something that creates an emotion from someone and evolves their thinking, right? And just like what fascinates you with high performance, it fascinates me with the masses. It fascinates me. How can I get someone to go from, let's say I worked with someone that worked at a meat factory and to making a ton of money in their life. Boom, I need to shift the way they look at and perceive all the things that are in front of them. I need to bring in something into their life so that they can see it, because I'm not doing the work. I'm just bringing the questions. I'm bringing the insight, and they're taking it, and they either have two choices. They can take it in for themselves and learn and grow, or two, run. And it's almost like a magnet where like the magnet it's always going to follow you wherever you go, but maybe it's not fully connecting. And so that's the way that I approach things. And that's really what I do. And that's how I develop brands. And the reason why I'm high performing is because I understand the human mind. And I understand that when you don't put away a mitt, and you after grabbing your food and stuff, and you don't put away the mitt or the scale after you eat, you do the same thing in your relationships, you do the same thing in your businesses, you do the same thing with your investments, you do the same thing at the grocery store, and your indecisiveness or not really knowing what you want to do at certain points in your life, long term adds up.
Yeah.
Just clothing under your bed every single day for 2 weeks.
I love that. I love that, brother. I love that. So I've been following you for a long time. I know you're big on physical development. You've been, doing calisthenics for years. You've now pivoted into bodybuilding. I see how you eat on your stories. You're very methodical about your diet. I'm assuming that your physical, your aptitude and your nutrition has played a huge role in your performance abilities. For one, have they? And two, if they have, what's your thinking on that? What's your thought process on that? Why do you uphold that so in such a disciplined fashion in your life?
Yeah, so your gut is directly correlated with your mind, right, and your brain.
Hell yeah.
So if your gut is out of whack, let's say you don't take any probiotics and you go on an antibiotic. There's a reason why doctors say get on a probiotic, right? Some of them say get on a stronger one than usual because it messes up with your gut. You have so many different things happening in your gut. Think about it. Food is always coming down through your system and out your system the same way. It's not taking a different route, right? So how can we try and take different routes with what we're putting in our bodies, right? Like if you go to a plant and you take Coca-Cola and you try and water the plant, that's why if you try and Coca-Cola the plant, it's not going to grow. It's going to die. So if you're putting that in your body consistently, what are you doing long term? Yes, a plant is almost like it's almost like the duration of a human being, right? Just a little bit less time, right? So like if you put water on a plant, that's the same thing as putting good food in our bodies. It's going to grow. It's going to look beautiful, whether it's a sunflower or whatever, right? So I consider it as a sunflower. So when I go into bodybuilding and I put anything into my body, I take it very, very seriously. I'm like, I don't want to put like a double cheeseburger into my body right now with a bun and all this oil from this restaurant. Sometimes, yeah, because I enjoy but I also know the risks and I know the rewards. Like it's not going to kill me if I have a burger, right? But if I do it consistently, it's all about discipline. So I eat really, really healthy, and because of it, I have more energy. I'm always moving. And coupled with nutrition is obviously your training. You got to be moving. And you don't have to lift the gym. You don't have to go to a park and do crazy flips. It's not about that. It's about cardiovascular health. Because however many times your heart is beating, this is why breath work is so important. And this is why so many other things are important. Not only nutrition, but the more that your heartbeat is, think of it like a time clock. Your entire life, your heart beats so many times. If your heart rate is resting at 80 for 20 years, and my heart rate is resting at 55 for 20 years, what is that calculated to? What's
longevity?
The difference? Longevity. And so it starts with your nutrition, and then after that, you got to get moving fast.
I love that. I agree completely. That for sure. I agree 1,000% on the long-term effects of that. Speak on a little bit right now, like, having your nutrition on point today. How does that increase your performance today? What do you notice there with your, having your 1 or 2 workouts a day, keeping nutrition on point? How does that affect your performance while you're working in your business on the day-to-day?
Yeah, if you get tired, it means your body's trying to digest food. Like, that's a lot of it. If you're exhausted, your body is it's sending you a message. You shouldn't be tired at 10 a.m. You shouldn't be. And also, like, directly correlated with caffeine, this is something that I didn't drink any caffeine for 20. Do you drink coffee?
1 cup in the morning, I do.
Okay, so you drink a cup of coffee, and the majority of Americans do. And so I was somebody, I never drank any coffee for 27 years. And then I went for my first ever bodybuilding competition. You don't have any food in your body. You're depleted. You're exhausted. I started drinking caffeine. So I started depending on that, right? Mm-hmm. What I noticed same day is that when I was on caffeine and I was drinking too much of it, which it is a great performance based product for you, but the same day I would feel groggy later in the day, like really, really groggy, or like brain foggy. I felt like I needed more. It was almost like an addictive feeling, right? Mm-hmm. So off of that, my nutrition has kind of done the same thing. When I got into really, really focusing on the micronutrients that I was consuming, whether it was carrots or it was spinach or it was kale, or even having smoothies with different fruits, what I realized after I consume that, I'm not tired. I have more energy. And so because I have more energy, I'm able to think more clearly. And because I think more clearly, I get shit done.
Versus eating something more processed, eating out, a lot of oils, fats, not those nutrient-dense whole foods, right? That's what I'm hearing. Eating that way gives you more of a mental clarity and clean energy versus eating, like a burger, eating out or something out of a package, right?
It's like crashing. You ever, you drink a pre-workout and you crash sometimes afterwards, then you go drink this other pre-workout and you don't crash at all. It's a steady decline. It's just like that. I would rather have a steady decline, which is my day, right? I eat and I have a steady decline throughout the day. And then once I'm tired, 9 p.m., I go to sleep.
I love that.
Rather than let me put something in my body, boom, crash. I need a nap. Put something in my body later in the day, boom, crash. I need a nap. And then I can't fall asleep late at night. And I wonder, why can't I fall asleep at night? Oh, it's because my body is craving something that creates crashes, and I'm not used to settling down at my high performance rate. I'm just always up here, and then boom, stress, you get sick, shit happens.
Got it. Makes total sense. I feel like that all the time when I eat, like, even in the day. I personally, I fast until like 3 to 5 p.m. because even if I eat something healthy, there's still a little bit of a lag, right? Because that digestion takes energy, and optimizing that crucial. Okay, phenomenal. So routine. Let's talk about routines.
Yeah.
Do you have a morning routine?
So I'll be honest with you. During quarantine, it was up and then it was down and it was up, and like certain things were happening, right?
Me too.
I do have a routine. So there's a guy named, I can't remember his first name, something Stevenson, but he said that when you're doing things right in your life, when your life is working out for you and it's great, you're doing 10 things. You're always doing 10 things, right?
10 things.
Right. What are those 10 things? And I'll explain to you. When my life is going right, my routine consists of meditation, eating the right amount of calories per day. I see a huge difference if I eat a ton of calories or I'm not eating much at all, right?
Okay.
So, yes, an efficient amount of calories. My day works very, very well when I work out, and I always get some type of training in. When I'm showing up on time to all of my meetings and everywhere I need to go. Also, like number 5, going to sleep by 9:30. That's number 5. And then because that's correlated with when I'm waking up, it's waking up at 5:30 every morning, right?
Got it.
There's other things that can kind of switch between. One of them is calling my parents or calling a good friend. Whenever I'm doing that every day, I settle in. Taking a nap, a 10-minute nap every day, right when everything's kind of flustered in the world and things are happening around 1, 2 p.m., boom, makes me feel so refreshed. So these are different things, walking 10,000 steps. So that's my routines through the day, and I do those 10 things.
These more like rituals is what I'm hearing. These are like 10 rituals you make. I mean, I see a lot of elements of the more routine in that waking up at 5:30 is totally like routine, whatnot, nighttime routine and whatnot. But you seem to have like a checklist. Like if I do these, 10 things, or that some of them can be interchangeable when they happen.
Routine, but it's routine though, because like you may say ritual. Yeah, it's a synonym of routine in a
correct
specific regard, but it's a routine. I wake up 5:30. I meditate. I do some stretching. After my stretching, I go eat. And then from that eating, I go directly to the gym. I come back from the gym. Nice. I walk about 2,000 steps. I take those 2,000 steps. Boom, I take my meetings. I have meetings for 3-4 hours. I check Facebook ads. From Facebook ads, I go. So I know my whole day. I can tell you where I'm going. And then at 2 p.m., I grab my hammock. I go to the park. I take a nap for 20 minutes in my hammock. I rest there for another hour. So it's a routine And once you're in that routine, humans are meant not only for connection, but also for routine. There's a reason why humans, let's say you eat once a day and you fast throughout the rest of your day. There's a reason why you do that every single day. When your body is confused all the time, eating specific food or going to sleep at a certain time, what happens? You get more stressed. Your performance, it drops. So routine is, and I love that you brought up that question, is number one. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love that, brother. I feel the same way. If I'm off my routine, I'm just like grumpy. It's like, you know what I mean? And, you know, sometimes things happen in life and you know what I mean? Like you spoke about the COVID and whatnot, lockdown. It happens, but there's a distinct difference in just my overall mood and what I get done in the day. Big question. Next one. Do you believe in increasing the output by minimizing the input? And let me expand on that. Doing less to do more. I'll give an example. If I'm in a bad mood and I have a shit ton of work oh, you already know where I'm going with this. If I'm in a bad mood and I got a shit ton of work, I won't do the work until I get the mood better. Do you do something like that?
Dude,
what's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on that? Yeah.
I'm all about figure out ways. It's delegation, really. It's delegation, whether it's a business or it's your own life. How do you delegate internally so that externally you can give more and bring more?
Delegate internally so that externally you can give more. Expand on that. What does that mean?
If you're thinking, let's say you leave a friend, right? And the friend has so much shit going on and their problems were led onto you, right? So like you kind of took on those problems, right?
Yeah.
And they made it seem like you were the issue. When in reality, it really had nothing to do with you. You know that. Like your gut's telling you, I know that it wasn't my problem. But when you come in here, when you come back into your house, you have in your mental capacity, the amount of things that are going on in your mind. Remember, less is more, and you're saying that right now. The more that this stuff is happening and all this stuff is mixing up in your mind, the more you're going to concentrate on that, which creates stress, affects your cortisol, does all those different things, right? And so what I'm trying to say is when you can delegate even internally in your own mind, saying, okay, this isn't my fault. This is okay. I'm going to let it be. This is something that it's just there and it's not going to have any burden on my day. That's when you can provide a higher output to everything externally. And so that's where I was getting at. If you can delegate more and more and more, especially as a business, if you want to be a successful business owner, because I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this, they want to have a successful business, but they also maybe want to have an incredible physique, or they want to just be a high performer in general with relationships. The number one thing is not taking things personally. And number two, being able to let things be. Because if you can't let things be, it's the clothing on the ground with the bed. Delegation. So that's what I was trying to say about internally. That's where it
like
leads.
Emotionally delegating, right?
Yes.
I love that. I love that. So that would, because otherwise it feels like you're trucking through mud. Oh my God, man. When you're going throughout your day like that, it's like this rain cloud following you. Right. Okay, so that's very similar to my process as well. As far as that's what I meant. I'll fix that poor mood by doing, you know, some kind of self-talk, like a little psychosurgery on myself. What's going on? Why do I feel a certain type of way? Get back in a good mood and then handle the work versus going into the work doing that.
Breathwork's an incredible practice.
Okay, talk about that. What's your breath work? What does it mean, breath work?
So, I mean, you can use so many different, I use the Calm app and I go in there and I look at maybe like a 5-minute breath work, right? I have a big meeting. I'm going to show up 3 minutes early always. Or if I'm going to get on a phone call, I'm there at 12 o'clock on the dot with you today.
Yep, boom.
So in order for me to show up on the level that I want as a high performer, I take 3 to 5 minutes. And sometimes I don't even have that much time. Sometimes I say, hey, I need to go use the restroom really quick. And I just close my eyes in the bathroom and I take 4 seconds in and 8 seconds out, just 3 times, and boom, it's incredible. And then another way, it has to do with your diaphragm, is you lay on your back, you put your feet on some type of a stool so your knee is at a 90-degree angle, right? And then from there, you lift your rib cage, and then you bring it out. You breathe all the way out. So your rib cage comes from here to here. So right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay, got
so
it.
it releases a lot of the tension in your diaphragm and everything on your T-spine. And so in this practice, you'll notice it will release shoulder tension, external and internal rotation. It will do a lot of different things where you set yourself up for what's to come. And that's what high performing is about. It's not about you know it all. It's about you just get it. You understand what performance takes. It takes clarity. The most successful football players, wide receivers, for instance, Julio Jones doesn't miss a pass in the Super Bowl on 4th and 3 with 10 seconds to go in the game. But you know who does? A college player that's maybe his second year and he has a major in engineering and he doesn't want to be an engineer and he doesn't know how to deal with his own problems because he hasn't experienced a lot of those points in his life and doesn't want to come to terms with them. So who misses out on that last second? That's the difference between the 2% and the 1%. The 1% of the high performers, and it's rare, but everybody can be there, 100%.
It just takes knowledge, experience, that raw self-awareness, right?
Yes, sir.
100%. Do you read?
You know what? I'm somebody who I go through spurts of reading, and I'll read a ton of books, and then I won't at all. But I'll tell you this, when I'm reading, that's one of my 10 things. When I'm reading, it's some of the most valuable knowledge that I can ever receive because it's my own interpretation of someone's interpretation.
You know? Your own interpretation of someone's interpretation. I like that.
It's really cool, but I will say this, I'm always analyzing. So that's my way of reading. I do Facebook.
You're learning. You're always learning. You're always learning something.
And it takes a lot of analyzation. I have to analyze these ads on Facebook all the time and see how the copy is and where people are going on the page, understanding the human mind. Where are they going? How do they react? When do they click? When don't they click? When do they do this? I have to be extremely aware of these things happening. And if I'm not aware, I lose out. And that's really like, when it comes to performance, it's the clothing on the ground.
Same thing.
It's the clothing on the ground.
The clothing on the ground. When you do go through those spurts of, devouring some books, studying some sort of subject matters, even if it's like some books on Facebook ads and whatnot, how have you found, as you look back in hindsight, how that's increased your performance? How has that made your performance better?
Incredible. So 10X, for instance, I read that book a long time ago.
I love that book by Grant Cardone. Yeah.
So I was going through a really tough time in my life, and I read 10X, and I moved back to LA. And like, I was in a really, really tough spot in my life. I was like, hey, I'm just going to shoot for the stars, because if I don't shoot for the stars, then I'm never going to get to the moon. And so it's that type of thing, is like, I've read these different books, and it's all about the impossibilities that have become possibilities. And it's not even so much about the impossibility. It's about how can I get as close as possible to the impossibility, because all of these possibilities are beautiful, and if I don't shoot for the stars and read these books and the things that are going to open up my mind to other scenarios, how Gandhi lived, or what do you call that guy in outside of India? The
Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama. If I didn't read about the Dalai Lama, I would not be able to understand their way of thinking. I wouldn't understand Buddhism. I wouldn't understand Hinduism. I wouldn't understand all of these, like even Arabic. I want to learn how to speak Arabic, and I want to understand the Middle Eastern culture. Why? Because there's so much history and there's so much understanding. So when it comes to reading, that's what I look for, and that's how it helps me. All it does, one word can plant $1 million idea in my mind. And that's what it's about. Reading is not about, hey, let me just like try and learn as much as possible. No, it's about discovery within your own self. Because the closer you become to your 100% self, Akash, you're a great example of that. I'm a great example of that. Once you get to that point, performing, It's not high, it's not low, it's irrelevant because you're always performing.
Wow. I love that. Reading helps you discover more about yourself, and then tying that all the way back into the psychology and that self-awareness, knowing yourself. The more you know yourself, the more you can get closer to your ideal aligned self as a man or a woman. And then you're just kind of expressing yourself. That's how I like to think about it, because you don't know what you don't know, right? If we can see far, it's because we're standing on the shoulders of giants. One of my favorite quotes. What are the giants? Books. Right? How do I, how do I, understand what that guy took 80 years to learn, and I can integrate that into my life right there? Oh, he wrote this book. Whoa.
Right.
That's amazing.
It's amazing stuff, man. It's amazing stuff.
If there's one, I always like to ask at the end, is there a big domino in your life? Like, this is the one thing that if I do this, everything else becomes much easier or almost irrelevant in regards to your performance. What is that one big domino for you?
Slowing down.
Slowing down. Do you talk about that? Do you mean like detachment, like you're being meditative? Like,
I'll tell you. Sometimes we confuse high performing with quantity of work and trying to fix things. But high performance has nothing, like I said at the beginning, and like you already know, Akash, high performance is doing more with less and understanding it and learning how to get there. It's one of the toughest things to do in life. You want to say that one thing, but you just shouldn't, because patience is a virtue. They say patience is a virtue because what's a virtue? A virtue is the things that are beautiful that come into your life that are like, whoa, how did I get here? When in reality, you got there because of patience, right? And so that's kind of where I'm focusing on things. So, we're going to be opening up a gym, a Create You gym facility. Mm-hmm. And this is the process of building gyms across the world, potentially, and also calisthenics parks for free around the world, potentially. This is all in the woodworks of Create You. And I have to understand that, okay, I can get a 10,000 square foot facility and go big and, this is like everything that I want to do. Or I could be a high performer and think, okay, if I get a 4,000 square foot facility, then I can get one here. I can get one in LA. I can get one in Florida. I can get one in New York. And the only reason why I can come to that understanding is if I take a step back, I do some breath work, I take a couple days for myself, I practice my patience, and I talk to people, I listen to people, and then I hear within myself exactly what I need to do. And that's the number one barrier in my career is slow down, Brenden. Slow down. But it's also my biggest and greatest blessing that has created and provided so many incredible businesses that have impacted hundreds of millions of people. So that's what I would say.
Love that. I love that. I couldn't agree more. I put a big smile on my face with the whole get more done. The more output with less input, that is the name of the game. Slowing down. All right, last question. For everyone that that's listening that, maybe they're not a high performer yet, but they're striving to. They're listening to this, everything's resonating, they want to get there. But right now, let's just say like it's not going well. What's the number one thing that they should do?
Learn about yourself. That's it. Dig deeper into the shit that's popping up in your life and come to terms with it, accept it, embrace it, and grow. You will never, ever become a high performer if you do not come to terms with yourself. Some successful people that make a lot of money are still not high performers. High performance is about creating this output that isn't just about what you're bringing in, the amount of money that you're bringing in. It's about your spirituality. It's about your inner self. How can you perform at your best all the time for a long period of time? LeBron James is a prime example. Everybody is comparing him to Michael Jordan because the man has been performing at the absolute pinnacle, the highest level, for more years than anybody else. Why? Because he takes the time for himself. He knows what it takes in order to get there. It's the patience. It's the massage therapy. It's the rehab, even though he doesn't need the rehab, but he knows that something may be coming on. He trusts his gut. And so that's where I would say is step one, inner self work. Whether that's going to a course like we went to, Mastering Transformational Training, which is incredible. You just want something that's going to expand your consciousness, or expand your conscious. You just want something to expand it, because the second you see more is the second you experience more. And when you experience more, you want to do more. And when you want to do more, it develops passion, and you actually do more. And you keep
Fuck yeah. Fucking love that. Love that. Thank you so much, Brenden. Thank you for being my first guest on Optimized TV. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much, brother.